Welcome to Season 5 of Pants Around Ankles Prevention, where my mission is to help you keep your pants securely buckled and avoid that unexpected, awkward, and embarrassing moment when you realize suddenly that they're not. This season, we're going to do things a little differently with shorts around ankles prevention. Quick, power-packed episodes designed to deliver a punch of truth to help you wake up to a new perspective. Let's see what today's short has in store. This is my brain dump. As the typing starts for this episode, I'm sitting in my office with nothing on my calendar or to-do list but this: write. And I have all the time I need, and I don't have anything I want or feel the need to say. So here's the quote that has appeared in my mind as I sit here. It's from best-selling author James Clear. He says, "Don't wait to start writing until you have something to say. Start writing so you can find out what you have to say." Okay, here goes. I discovered the value of journal writing over 35 years ago, back in probably the 1980s. Back then, I used the journal as a place to get thoughts out of my head and onto paper. I've heard it said that you really don't understand it if you can't write it, and I believe that. If what you write is, well, garbage, then whatever's floating around in your head probably is too. When you can figure out how to articulate it clearly in writing, then you will have greater clarity. I still value journal writing for that purpose, but not everything I write in there is necessarily about the garbage floating around inside of my head. Often I have great clarity that I've got some sort of challenge. It could be a problem or an opportunity. And I understand exactly what it is, but I don't yet know what to do. I don't have a decision, a course of action, or a plan that's sufficiently compelling anyway for me to act. So I just put it on paper, all of the thinking. And I use the journal as a place to work on it. Reading the thoughts, the options, the ideas is different than having them bang around inside of your head. Sometimes simply writing the thoughts out and looking at them brings a great deal of clarity, even a resolution. And this is sometimes because once my thoughts are on paper, I look at them, they're, well, kind of stupid. But seeing them in print reveals that. The other thing that happens in the pages of my journal is a brain dump. I don't usually include that I need to do laundry after my bike ride, or I think I'll go someplace new for lunch. There's nothing wrong with doing that per se, and I know people that do it and find it helpful to get things out of their head. But I often write about the various impulses and thoughts that are floating around inside of me that just seem to appear. And I record them. When I go back and read the journal entries from the past year, I sometimes discover that some of those impulses of thought are appearing in multiple places, perhaps each time in a different context, and in a way that doesn't call attention to itself. However, when that thought or idea begins appearing during the annual review, it catches my attention, and it usually turns out to be something important. Indeed, anytime I needed a what's next for my life, it has originated in just that way. So if you're already an experienced journal writer, none of this should be a surprise to you. It's a powerful tool. And for those of you who have not yet started journal writing, I've got some tips and resources to ease it for you. It's generally considered best to write in a journal longhand, on real paper, and in a book dedicated to that purpose. I'll add that using an old-fashioned fountain pen is helpful because you can't write fast with a fountain pen. It makes you slow down or the ink just won't flow. As I said, I started journal writing over 35 years ago, and I did it at a time on my computer in a Word document. So my initial journal writing was all around very significant internal conflict I was having in regard to my spiritual journey. or lack thereof. So I actually titled my Word docs Conversations with God, and I wrote them in that context. Somewhere along the line, I read a book by Julia Cameron entitled The Artist's Way, which is subtitled A Spiritual Path to Higher Creativity. The fundamental tool in this book is a form of journal writing, which she calls morning pages. The idea is that you get up in the morning and write 3 pages of brain dump, longhand, before you do anything else. So I started naming my journals morning pages, and the context for which I wrote also changed. So I usually suggest writing morning pages as a great place to start for those who have never written in a journal before. If you go onto YouTube and search for journal writing, you're going to find plenty of help. You'll find that virtually all will say that to get the maximum benefit from journal writing, it is important to do it regularly, as in daily. Ideally, it's also valuable to do it at the same time of the day, often when you first get up or just before you go to sleep. When I started journal writing, I often did it at 2 or 3 a.m. in the middle of the night. I would get awakened and couldn't get back to sleep until I went downstairs to the computer and typed. Now, I'm not recommending that, but unfortunately, I had great regularity with that approach for a long period of time. My point, though, is that there's no one right way to do this. Don't hesitate to experiment. And when you're not sure what to write, remember what James Clear had to say. Don't wait to start writing until you have something to say. Start writing so you find out what you have to say. If you'd like a deeper dive into this topic, consider subscribing to our newsletter, Waking Up, where we will explore it in even more detail. And if you found this episode helpful, be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. See you soon.